What is up? This is basically Brandon back with another craft. We are going to do some more crafts. I know that there are a few people who have been wanting to see some more crafts out of my channel, and so we're going back to the crafting in this video. Today's crafts are probably going to run about $5 to $6. Everything that you need can be purchased at the Dollar Tree. And so, let's see here. Everything that we're going to make tonight can be purchased from the Dollar Tree. We're going to do a hanging wall calendar that's going to have like galvanized looking numbers and letters and that kind of thing to tell what day of the week it is. I'm really excited to get started on that one. I've had the idea in my head for a few days now, and I think it's going to be really cool. The other one is just kind of your standard farmhouse sign that's going to say home. It might say coffee. I haven't really decided yet. I guess we'll kind of get into that together. Once I actually get into the craft and start making it, we'll figure out what it's going to say. So let's just go ahead and jump right on into it. So to begin with our first project, this hanging calendar, you're going to need one of these little Easter bunny signs that kind of look like pallet wood, Waverly truffle chalk paint, Waverly white chalk paint, these little hooks, these little self-adhesive hooks from the Dollar Tree, the playing cards from the Dollar Tree, these vinyl numbers, and then I ended up using a few other paints that you'll see here in just a minute or two. To begin, we're just going to rip this little tag off, and then we're going to rip this little bunny off and just kind of toss him to the side because we can save him for another project later. Once everything's removed, we'll go ahead and sand him down because it's got a little bit of glitter on him. We're going to take this Waverly white chalk paint and we're going to cover the entire sign with it. And then once we have the white paint on it, we're going to take the truffle paint, and I just ended up using the same brush, and so I took that brush and just kind of made what looked like wood grain in this sign. Once it's dry, we're going to take a ruler and we're just going to create some little black lines that separates these pieces of wood out to make it look more wood-like. For this next part, to get these little hooks onto the sign, I used the cards to space them out evenly, and then I used the ruler so that way I could make sure that it was all lined up evenly as well. And I tried to do this about halfway up the sign, maybe a little bit less than halfway up the sign, but you can see it in the video. This next part, I took 10 playing cards and I'm going to paint them white with a little bit of brown inside of it. And I actually used the brown first and then kind of coated the white on top. These are going to be your month and your day of the week cards. And you will end up doing both the front and the back of these cards in the same paint. I actually ended up only painting the back side of it with the same brush, but only using the white because there was already a little bit of brown mixed into it where I had used it before. And so I just ended up doing white on the back of the cards. Next, I hand wrote the months and the days of the week onto these cards. Now, you can use vinyl lettering if you want to. You can use your own handwriting. I chose to just write it and kind of do like this little country handwriting on it. Now, this is the part that you'll see that I just went ahead and painted the back of it white. Like I said, I used the same brush that I had the brown on. But I just painted it white, and then once it dried, I went ahead and hand wrote the rest of the months and the days of the week onto these cards.
Next, we'll
hole punch just a little hole towards the top and the center of all the cards, so that way we can hang them to these hooks. Now here's where I used extra paint. For the middle cards, I ended up doing this galvanized look, so I used the Waverly ink chalk paint to start the base on these other cards. And you'll do these front and back as well, and once you have the black coating on it, you'll go ahead and take Apple Barrel Gray and blot it, which is a napkin. Gray is dry, you'll take this metallic satin nickel paint, spray it into a bowl, and just blot it some more so it gets that really nice galvanized look. And like I said, you'll do this front and back to both of these cards, and these will be your actual days of the week in numbers. Once it's dry, you'll take these final numbers and you'll do 0 and 1 front and back, 2 and 3 front and back, 4 and 5 front and back, 6 and 7 front and back, 8 and 9 front and back. I actually ended up messing up, and so my 2 and my 9 are on front and back, but that's okay, it still worked out for me. And then once you have the vinyl letters on, you'll just hole punch them as well, and you'll have your galvanized numbers that will go in the center of this hanging calendar. So this next part, I just hand wrote calendar on the top of it because I really like the way that this handwriting was looking, like this country-like handwriting, almost Ray Dunn in a way. But you can use vinyl lettering if you want to, you can use whatever you want to. After I wrote it, I thought it was missing something, and so I ended up putting some embellishments on it, like some boxwood pieces of boxwood stems, and then also a jute shrink ribbon. And then once you finish putting anything else that you want onto it, go ahead and take some nautical rope and hot glue it to the back to create a hanging portion for it. And once you do that, you're done. I really think this ended up turning out a lot better than I expected. It looks really cool. It looks high-end to me. And those galvanized cards, they look like sheets of metal. It's really cool, and I hope you enjoyed making this craft. So for the next craft, you're going to need foam board, this wood contact paper from Dollar Tree, aluminum foil from the Dollar Tree, any kind of floral stem that you want to make into a wreath, Waverly ink chalk paint, Apple Barrel Gray chalk paint, the satin nickel paint again, truffle paint, and that should be it. So to start this project, I am making the letters home on this foam board, and each letter is 7 inches tall, and then kind of like the parts of the columns of the H are only about 2 inches wide, and then like the middle piece of the H is only about 1.5 inches wide. I try to keep all of the letters around those same dimensions, and you can kind of follow along and see what I'm doing here. You can make it as big as you want to, as little as you want to, but that's just what I did. Once you have your home, the HME, the O is going to be made out of your pig for a wreath. Go ahead and take an X-Acto knife and just go ahead and cut out your letters. Upon cutting your letters out, I used mine to space out how big of a board I'm going to use for this home sign. Turns out I needed the exact width of one foam board. Once you measure it out, go ahead and use your Sharpie and your ruler to figure out exactly where you need to make your cut, and use your X-Acto knife to cut it out. Next, you're going to take a roll of contact paper, and you're just going to take this wood contact paper and cover the entire board. And I ended up just folding my corners over like a present and then pushing it down and trying to get as many air bubbles out as possible. I ended up seeing quite a few creases in mine, so I think there's probably a better way to put this contact paper on there. But for this board, it ended up being okay. Next, I ended up taking tinfoil and covering all of my letters with tinfoil, and I didn't use any kind of adhesive to put it onto the letters. I just folded it over and then cut
any pieces out that I need to, and just continue to fold it over, and you can follow along what I'm doing in the video. But once you get all the letters covered, then we're going to end up painting them, and you'll see that here in a second. So to begin, go ahead and take your Waverly ink chalk paint and just lightly cover the tinfoil covered letters. You don't end up having to like completely coat them, because we're going to put 3 different types of paint on it. Now while your letters are drying, I went ahead and took the contact paper and I added just a little bit of the trouble paint. The brush that we used that had the trouble paint and the white paint on it, I ended up just taking it and just kind of slapping some paint on, just to give it a little bit more of an aged look. And you can do that if you want to, you don't have to, it's just what I did. Next, go ahead and take your Apple Barrel gray paint and just blot it like we did with the galvanized playing cards in the last craft, and just do it to each letter. And then you'll just take the satin nickel spray paint, spray it into a bowl, and blot it just like you did with the last craft. Once your letters are dry, just hot glue them to the board, and I ended up doing the H first, then the E, and then the M, so that way I had them evenly spaced out and it looked like it was more uniform instead of trying to guess after doing the H, then the M, and the E, and so on. So the last part before you're done is just taking your pick and just creating a wreath out of it, and I just clipped each one off and then kind of made it circular and just hot glued it straight down. I didn't end up using the full pick, and it ended up looking really cute for the O. And then that's it. You are done, and this little thing, it just looks really cute. It ended up looking so much better than I imagined in my head. Once I started using tinfoil, I was like, I don't know how this is going to look, but I wanted a little bit of a different texture, a more metallic texture, while keeping it inexpensive. I think this only ended up running $3, maybe $4.
Thank you again so much for stopping by and checking out my channel. If you're enjoying the content that I'm producing, please subscribe and click the little bell for notifications. Little bell. What was that? If you're enjoying the content that I'm producing, be sure to subscribe and also click the little bell for notifications. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to be doing for the next video. It may be some more fun. It may be some more weight loss stuff. As you probably know, I did that weight loss video about doing low carb all from the Dollar Tree in my last video. If you haven't, be sure to check out the most recent upload. Other than that, we'll see you next time. Bye.